Hello and welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be talking about Montreal's game last night. They ended up playing the Kraken at 10:30. Not many people watched it, but I mean, game ended 1:30. Very late end to a hockey game. I was extremely tired at the end of the game. Straight to sleep for me right after. But Montreal ended up edging out the Seattle Kraken with Seattle's big third period push, and Montreal wins in overtime. Yet again, the Habs' new leader in overtime goals, Cole Caulfield, gets it done with another overtime goal to set the franchise record at 11, and sets an NHL record at the fastest player to score 11 overtime goals. And just a phenomenal game for Cole Caulfield with 3 points. He had 3 points on Montreal, ended up having 4 goals, so he had the majority of points for Montreal last night. And I feel like I should eat my words a bit with saying Slavkovsky should be on the second power play unit, because he had a great power play game last night. The Montreal was 100% on their power play, which is phenomenal to see. On 2 power plays, they had 2 goals. Both of those goals, well, one of the goals coming from Juraj Slavkovsky, assisted by Nick Suzuki, which extends his point streak to now 10 games. He's been playing lights out throughout his point streak so far, and just continue it on. He continued it with a assist on Cole Caulfield's goal to start off the game, but then had another assist on Slavkovsky's goal, also assisted by Caulfield. It was a very nice goal, I will say that. Then the second power play unit finally clicks, and we see a goal from none other than Alex Newhook, another guy I bashed a couple days ago. Seems like they just want to keep proving me wrong, and I'm happy if they keep proving me wrong. It seemed to be a trend. I said a couple times last year I wasn't liking Matheson's play. Started off the season hoping Matheson would play the exact same. And what do you know, he plays amazing to start the season. But this goal was assisted by Dobson, who had a second assist of the game, and Kirby Dach. It was also a very sweet goal by Alex Newhook, just a nice little one-timer, barely passing to Cord. And this is when Montreal took a 3-0 lead, and I thought, hey, this game's over. Time for bed soon. But I would be very, very wrong when Montreal proceeds to, well, go on the penalty kill. They've had a very good penalty kill this season, and I thought it would continue. What do you know? Brendan Montour scores his first goal of the regular season, assisted by Berkeley Clayton and Mason Marchman. Then, not very long after, Shane Wright scores. The game is now 3-2, and I'm starting to get upset. Shane Wright scores, and can you guess who it was assisted by? Brandon Bobby Orr Montour with his second point of the game, and it's an assist. Then, legitimately 3 minutes later, none other than Brendan Bobby Orr Montour scores the game-tying goal, and this game goes to overtime. Overtime doesn't last very, very long. 44 seconds in, another goal for Cole Caulfield. Cole Caulfield now leads the NHL in goals. A very undersized player who wasn't thought it to be this. He wouldn't be able to bring this talent to the NHL. He wouldn't be able to do this. But what has he done through his entire career? He's proven people wrong. And what does he do? Is he scores the OT winner, and Montreal wins their 8th game of the regular season. And Montreal is now 8-3, still first in the Atlantic Division. Montreal is just playing so well, but so poor at the same time. Like, their third period crumbled. They played like one of the worst teams in the league. It was horrible to watch. Horrible to watch them try. They played with no pace. Watching them try and get the puck out of the zone was like watching Bambi on skates. It was horrible. It was horrible to watch. But as soon as overtime comes, their star players play. As soon as the lights are bright, their star players come out and they play so well. And just yet again, another win. It's great to see Montreal getting these early wins, and they complete a sweep against Seattle. They no longer play Seattle for the rest of the regular season, which might be great to hear as both games went to overtime. Both goals being scored by Cole Caulfield, and Caulfield's having 2 goals in both of the 2 games, which is great to see from Cole Caulfield. Montreal does have 11 games. They are now tied for first in the entire league, tied for the most wins in the entire league with the Devils and Utah. Now Montreal's next game isn't coming all the way until Saturday, so it is a very long break for Montreal. But on Saturday they are playing the 5-5-1 Ottawa Senators in their first meeting at the Bell Center. Speaking of their first game in the preseason went very well for Montreal. Very physical, very feisty per se. Hoping it'll be the same. They'll bring the same energy to this game. Hoping to see a fight or two from Arbor Jackeye. Hoping to see Florine Jackeye get called up soon. I personally do think that Florine Jackeye should have been called up instead of Owen Beck and even Joshua Waugh. Yes, both of them have had a decent start to the regular season in the AHL for Laval, but at the end of the day, I do just think that Florine Jackeye has earned his spot to be on Montreal more. He played one of the best. He was one of the best players to get cut from the team. He played phenomenal. He played well. He fought. He brought energy to the lineup that was just needed. He played at such a good level that I think it is honestly sad to see him not being in the lineup. I think it is sad that he isn't playing in the NHL right now. I think him and his brother Arbor should be playing alongside each other in the NHL. I really do think so. Florine played so very well, and honestly, I think it's a letdown that Florine wasn't brought up. The energy he would bring to the lineup was just insane, and you can tell a difference when either Jackeye isn't in the lineup. When Montreal didn't have any of the Jackeyes in the lineup in the preseason, you could tell that there was a difference in the way the team played. They played with a little bit less confidence. And when Jackeye is in the lineup, they play so very well. They play with a little bit more confidence. They know that if some guy's going to go out and try and hit me, I know someone's got my back the whole time, and that is Arbor or Florine. And I think it's just a little bit upsetting to see that neither of them made the lineup. Well, neither of them, as in Florine, didn't make the lineup. I'm very upset to see that he didn't. I would love to see him called up for this game against Ottawa. Montreal send a message early, but I do not think that'll be the case. I would love it to be the case, but I just don't think it will be the case. Either way, Montreal has their next 10 games are very sort of easy per se. They have not very many hard teams to play in their next couple games. As in, their next couple games consists of Ottawa, then it goes to Philadelphia, then they have a very hard game, and back-to-back hard games in the Devils and Utah. The Devils is in New Jersey, and then Montreal comes back home for the next 3, which is Utah, Los Angeles, Dallas, and Boston. Sorry, 4. But I do think in Montreal's next 8, I think Montreal goes win against Ottawa, win against Philadelphia, win against the Devils, a loss against Utah, a loss against Los Angeles, a win against Dallas, and another win against Boston. And in their final game of that stretch, in being Columbus, I think it is a loss. Unfortunately. I don't know what it is, but there's just a feeling that comes to me that Montreal is going to end up losing to Columbus. I do think Montreal will end up losing to Utah as well, because Utah has been so good to start out the year. Same with the Devils. I think Montreal is going to split those games and win one or the other between Utah and New Jersey. I think Montreal very narrowly beats out Dallas if Rope Hens is still hurt. If Rope Hens isn't hurt, then I do think Dallas ends up winning. But if Rope Hens is still hurt by then, I do think Montreal edgily squeaks out a victory. And in other news, as we're talking about Dallas, Dallas signed Thomas Harley to a $10 million extension for 8 years. I do think that it's a good signing. I do think it is a bit of a hefty overpay, as in other players along his skill level have been paid about $1 million less, or $2 million in the case of Wayne Hudson. But at the end of the day, I think it's a good thing that Dallas got him locked up long term. Dallas is in a bit of a cap issue as of right now, where they had to let go of Mason Marchman, somebody they really enjoyed. They had very thankfully got a huge pay decrease from Jamie Benn, who took a big pay cut to stay in Dallas and to try and win another cup with the team. He signed at league minimum. It's honestly a great place for Dallas to be in at that, with having, both of their captain locked in for a very minimal deal. Matt Duchene locked in at a very, very cheap deal at being a point a game, and still being decently, I wouldn't say young, but he is a nice veteran presence at being in the age of 30. But I do think Montreal squeaks out a win against Dallas. Kind of repeating myself here, but I don't really know how else to say. I think Dallas is a great team, but Montreal just narrowly beats out Dallas. That is a game a while away, but it would be nice to see a victory. And back to the game Montreal had just played. They played phenomenal, both ends of the ice, until the third period when they ultimately crumble. I don't know what it is. Last year, the first and second periods, they could play. They couldn't play, sorry. They'd be horrible in the first and second period. And then third period, they'd be a completely different team, and they'd go out and win. But now, as the case, I just don't think that's the same. I think that they are a good first and second period team. When it comes to the third period, they're like, oh shit. And they try and dial it in real quick. But when it comes to that overtime, when they end up eventually making it to overtime, they find a way to win every single time. Coming from goals from Caulfield and Matheson. Really, that's it. Caulfield and Matheson are the only two players to score an overtime goal for Montreal. And I think Caulfield has scored 4 this season. Great to see. Great to just see Montreal play with so much intensity in the first and second period. Would like to see Montreal bring that in the third period for next game on Saturday, especially against Ottawa. Ottawa's a very competitive, feisty, gritty team. It would be great to see Montreal squeak a win out there. They've started the season off a bit slow. They're obviously going to be looking for a better outcome. They're going to look for a win. They're a team that shouldn't be where they are, and they're trying to find a way to win. But let's hope Montreal squeaks out that one. And that's going to be all for me today. That's all I really have to say for today. I really hope you guys enjoy me making these videos. I'm going to continue to make them throughout the entire season. I enjoy making them. I hope you guys enjoy watching them. And for that is going to be the end of today's video. If you enjoyed, please feel free to like, subscribe, and leave a comment on how you feel, how you like the video, some of your opinions. Can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. Anyways, guys, thanks. See ya. Have a great rest of your day. Peace.